DG ICCR, Srimati Gayatri Ishar Kumar, Joint Secretary, cum Social Secretary to the President, and DG साहब नहीं बैठ रहे?
I'm right here.
Oh, and DG ICCR. Okay. You can start, sir.
Rashtrapati, the Director General ICCR, Mrs. Gayatri Kumar, Professor Oscar Pujol, and the learned scholars present here. There is a well-known saying in Sanskrit, Sanyogaha Viprayoganta. All unions end in separation. That moment has come now. We have been together for the last 2 days. It is the 3rd day today. We had wonderful union, and not only union but communion. We have come from different continents across the world. We have shared our views with each other, interacted with each other. We have had lunch and dinner together. Now is a time when we have to part. At this time, we have mixed thoughts. Both happiness, because we came together, an opportunity which comes not very often in life, and sadness, because we have to part company. We have to go back to our destinations. At this moment, let us first of all recapitulate what we have been able to achieve in the course of the conference. I would request Mr. Somesh Mishra to give a resume of the work that we have been able to accomplish during the 3 days. And Mr. Somesh Mishra, please. Professor Somesh Mishra.
Respected Chairman of the session, distinguished scholars, and equally distinguished members of the organizing committee. At the foremost, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me a chance to visualize such a grand conference, to listen to wonderful papers presented by scholars. I owe a lot to the organizing committee, which has invited me. Well, regarding the papers, what can be said by a person like me who is going to talk about the veteran Indologists? I would safely say that papers were very brilliant, thought-provoking, illuminating. You know, I find that a conference like this should take place often. The reason being, firstly, what happens that in such conferences where the Shastras are being churned, if I am allowed to use the word Jnana Ganga, it is an atmosphere, the aura is of Jnana Ganga. And every dip in the Grand Ganga renews the culture, renews the civilization. At the same time, when we take the dip into it, we find that the concepts like Isavasamidam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyang Jagat, then Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Bahujan Hitaya, Bahujan Sukhaya, all these concepts and the concepts of humanism, that gets refreshed in our memories. And it also reminds us that we are not a very small creature of this world. We are born for some higher purpose in life. The other reason why, there are so many reasons, of course, I would be giving one or two reasons. The reason that why we need conference like this is that it generates the will in the learner to pass to the coming generation the knowledge, the wisdom, the science and technology, to the generation which is next to him and also to the generation which is yet to be born. So I sincerely feel that such conferences should take place quite often. Well, as a student of Buddhism, I found in this conference, we have, Buddha had said that to understand the word or to understand the meaning of the word, he suggested 4 patisambhidhas. Artha patisambhidha means earth in Pali. This is given in the Tripitaka. Artha patisambhidha. Nirutti patisambhidha means with the help of the Nirutta you learn something, with the help of the dictionary you learn something. Dhamma patisambhidha, that in the doctrinal perspective of the matters, you try to understand something. And he said that even these 3 will not work. Then he suggested the 4th patisambhidha, that is patibhana patisambhidha. Means with all these 3, you stay there. And then the knowledge unfolds itself. So I found that ample time was given in this seminar, in this conference, on how to understand the Shastras, how the words should be, the meaning of the words should be deciphered. So much of discussion was done. Even yesterday, our learned Dr. David Frawley, he talked about the 7 layers in the meaning of the Rig Veda, Vedic words. So we considering the time limit, we devoted ample time to it. Then I wondered, I was waiting for somebody to comment upon the Patanjali's Ahara Suddho Sattu Suddhi, because in Buddhism we believe that there are 4 types of Ahar also. The first is Kavalikara Ahar, which is the gross food that we take. Then we have Phas Ahar in Pali, of course. That is touch food. A mother lulls a child to sleep. So that is there. Manosanchetan Ahar means at the time of distress somebody comes and consoles you. That is also an Ahar. And then at last you have Vijnana Ahar, of course, the Ahar of knowledge. So I was waiting if somebody could have thrown some light on that, I would have been very happy, but maybe next time. You see, Indology, as we all know, it's a type of, it's a, like a fabric having various fibers of culture, of history. A form like this would be given by you. Then maybe the frozen silence of the countless number of years regarding the value-based education, that would certainly break. And maybe we would be saved from becoming the missing link between animal and the so-called civilized man. Thank you, sir.
About the conference.
Well, distinguished authorities and scholars, it's with great pleasure that we are finishing this conference. I was told to give the Western view of the conference, and I would like to begin by saluting all the Western scholars that have been present here without any detriment to the Indians and Asian ones, but since I am supposed to give the Western perspective, I will do so. We had a wide range of Western countries represented here, from Italy, with its eminent Indological tradition, starting with Gorresio, carried on by Oscar Boto, and down to Irma Piovano, present here, with all their work, the Indologica Taurinensis and the Valmiki Ramayana. From Italy to Chile, where we are all awaiting the dawning of a Satya Yuga of Indological studies by Sergio Melitan Carrasco, passing through Denmark, where Rasmus Rask initiated the study of Indology, today being headed by a very able American-Danish scholar, Ken Sisk, who is deep into textual criticism. Without forgetting Poland, where Sanskrit is taught at 4 universities, and Danuta Stasik works on Hindi grammar and poetry. I must also mention the Czech Republic, where Jaroslav Basek was pondering on the multicultural aspects of Indology and Indian thought. We move north to Norway, where we find a deep knowledge of historical grammar of Sanskrit by a Norwegian scholar like Klaus Peter Zoller. I would not exclude Turkey from the Western perspective, a country which is very close to Europe, where Korhan Kaya took a great plunge in the deep ocean of Sanskrit literature. He's prepared also a Sanskrit-Turkish dictionary. Again, we travel west to America, where David Frohle proposes a new approach different from the classical philological tradition of the study of the Veda, deeply inspired by Shri Aurobindo. From America again back to Spain, where a bright Spanish scholar has drawn our attention towards a critical reinterpretation of Advaita Vedanta, where liberation in life is the only essential belief. People have in common, coming from Western countries, is that they are all Indophiles. They have a true love for India. And I think that's a very important characteristic of this discipline that we are practicing that is called Indology, which means it is a truly marriage of a Western and Indian common vision that shares the belief that in ancient text and the ancient culture of India, there is a kind of wisdom which is worth to study and that can contribute still to the betterment of the human condition. I don't want to stand myself very long, but I would really like to say a few things more about the trend that Western Indology has been taken for the last 65 years. I think during these 65 years, beginning with the end of the Second World War, Indology has done something that Kumaraswamy already said that it was going to happen. I think we have been able to go beyond the colonial approach to Indology. And one of the standing things is we've been bridging the gap between, for instance, Western comparative philology and Paninian grammar. That has been happening in a very interesting way. And in general, we have been bridging the gap between the classical Western scholarship and the traditional approach to the study of Sanskrit. Another development has been the social approach, what is called area studies, started in the United States after the Second World War, with its interest in anthropology, modern Indic language, and multidisciplinary programs. There's been another development quite interesting for the field of Indology. And another characteristic which I think it is very important is the new discovery of technical Sanskrit and its potentialities for the future of the study of Sanskrit. I mean to say that we should start seeing Sanskrit as a living discipline that still can enrich the problems that are posed in other areas of, in human science especially. There are very good examples of that, beginning with grammar, where Paninian grammar now is considered the most outstanding predecessor of Chomskyan grammar. And I would not go into the technical details of the how many findings of Panini has been revisited by Chomskyan grammarians. I mean, saying that Sanskrit is a living discipline, that happened already in the 19th century, where Western linguistics could be
in an effort to understand better and in a more clear way the Greek and Latin traditions, which were then creating in Europe a ferment